In the heart of UK industry, furniture and mattress manufacturing stand as a testament to craftsmanship and continued innovation. The UK, renowned for producing some of the world's finest furniture and furnishings, combines tradition with cutting-edge techniques. In today's programme, Executive TV delves into the meticulous processes, commitment to quality, and strides towards sustainability that define the modern UK industry. Boss Design specialises in creating innovative and high-quality furniture solutions for workplace and hospitality environments.
To understand the history of Boss Design, you have to go back to the 80s. In 1983, the company was established, and at that point in time, despite the fact that British furniture design had a rich history, the kind of furniture that we'd call antique furniture now, really the industry was in the doldrums in the 1980s and really lived in the shadow of the flair of Italy and the perceived quality in Germany. And in 1983, Brian Murray set up Boss in order to to meet those two giants head on and to try and re-establish a quality contract furniture sector here within the UK. You know, everybody talks about quality and quality, of course, underpins what we do. You know, quality of design, quality of comfort, these are pretty subjective things. So more we like to talk about the quality in component manufacture, the quality of the foams, the injection molded plastics, the cast metals that we bring through, which really create the bones, if you like, the skeletons of the products that we create. But I guess over and above that, quality for us manifests in patterning and in tailoring. So something as simple as just being able to get a sewn cover in any one of hundreds of fabrics that can come through our factory from week to week to fit perfectly on any given form. Like, flexibility is at the heart of everything that we do, and we're not a company that is prescriptive to our customers on the kind of fabrics or the kind of leathers that they have to use. We're more a company that tries to accommodate them in whatever their desired finishes are, and that creates a huge burden for the factory. But with the skilled workforce that we've got and with the diligence that there is in the patterning and the tailoring process, we manage to put out a consistently high quality of product from piece to piece.
Silent Night is a leading UK-based manufacturer of beds and mattresses, renowned for their comfort and quality.
Well, Silent Night is a very long-standing business. The history of the business was it was started up in the late 40s in a small unit, a guy who was actually renovating mattresses, repairing them, and he moved on to making new mattresses. His name was Tom Clark. And 80 years ago, that's how it all started. We've been working on our current site here in Barnoldswick, Lancashire, for almost 50 years, and we're really proud to be the UK's largest mattress manufacturer. We manufacture mattresses, but we also manufacture fabulous bed frames, divan units and headboards, principally to provide a great night's sleep to our consumers and our customers.
So the main products that we offer here at Silent Night kind of aimed at two particular parts of the market. There's the consumer market and the contract market, and across those two areas we offer pretty much all sleep related products, whether it's beds, mattresses, headboards, bedding, sofa beds, pillow protectors, the whole shooting match when it comes to kind of sleep based products. But just as importantly for us is the service side of things. So we also offer obviously deliveries, but also installation of new products and the removal and responsible recycling of old products as well.
Safety and durability are paramount in the manufacturing of furniture and mattresses. From stress tests to flammability assessments, rigorous testing protocols ensure that every piece meets stringent fire safety and durability standards.
All of our products are extensively tested under British and often international regulations, and so we always design in robust framework as well as robust materials to ensure that the product is durable and has a long life. We offer extensive warranties on our product, and if we don't design that in at the start of the process, then ultimately we receive the product back and we get that feedback from the customers. So we want to make sure from the start of the process we're making a durable and long-lasting product.
We ensure our products follow fire safety regulations by having our own on-site, independently accredited lab. In there, we do all sorts of testing and we make sure that we test to British standards and beyond. For the past few years, we've been working with the Office for Product Safety and Standards team. We support them whilst they update the UK fire regulations. We do this by conducting our own research and providing expert opinions from our lab. We conduct essential research into fire behaviour and the effectiveness of new fire retardant solutions. Our sleep solutions are a game changer for the industry because we put the sleeper first. So we don't necessarily design the product with springs in mind or certain specifications. We really focus on how that sleeper can get the best night's sleep possible. We do this by driving innovation and constantly researching into our three main pillars of the business, which are comfort, durability and sustainability. Comfort is a given. We can't get to sleep unless we are comfortable. Durability is something that we do need in the mattress as well. We use our bed for so much more than just sleeping on. We sit on the side to do our shoes, we throw our suitcases on it, we use it as a sofa. So we need to make sure that your product is going to withstand that test of time. And obviously underpinning everything that we do is our sustainability credentials as well.
Environmental responsibility is a core value in modern manufacturing. Companies are increasingly adopting sustainable practices, from sourcing eco-friendly materials to implementing energy-efficient processes.
The drive to become sustainable is leading to the ultimate goal of net zero 2050, which is to keep global warming to below 1.5 degrees Celsius. In order to get to that goal, everyone needs to work together and everyone needs to come together to work as one to reach that goal. So as businesses within the UK and operating within the UK, it's important that we all do our part in order to help the world reach that final goal and to try and put a limit to the amount of global warming we're creating on our planet.
So sustainability is quite a complex and knotty subject. So we try to simplify it at Silent Night and think of it as a Venn diagram with people, planet and profit, where sustainability sits at the heart. And I think, in these times of a polycrisis of climate breakdown, biodiversity loss, social inequality, it's really important that a business looks at the impacts they might have in those areas, but also the impacts that those areas might have on the business. So Silent Night's sustainability journey really began back in about 2008, where we signed up for the Furniture Industry Sustainability Programme, which was it's just a really great framework that we still follow today. There's 9 key different areas across the business. So everything from looking at your waste, your energy use, your product design, life cycle assessment, as well as the social impact of people, apprenticeship schemes and people development. So we still use that, and that's become really the foundation of our ESG strategy, which drives the business now.
Our sustainability manifesto, we based our manifesto on the UN's SDGs. So the UN have 18 different goals, around poverty and quality of life and quality of water, all these things. We cherry-picked 6 of those key areas that we could align ourselves with. The logic being, if you go to the UN, this is a big global organization that we can then align ourselves with other people who choose to align with the UN. So big corporates, big organizations will all have the same sort of focus and attention. The environmental impacts are obviously hugely important to us, and so hence why we've got a real kind of drive to reduce down the carbon impact on our products, and through that increasing recycled content of our products and then the recyclability of our products, and then focusing on the circularity of those products as well, so we keep those products in existence for as long as we possibly can and have take-back schemes and reupholstery schemes to really broaden that sort of environmental channel, if you like. But that's only one of the channels of our sustainability manifesto. Engaging with local communities to build up our societal kind of wealth, if you like, is really important to us as well. So we have schools coming through, engaging with children and the team on the floor to really increase design education and hopefully increase people prospects for jobs and works through the area, and that sort of ultimately helps us as well through recruitment too.
So, like most businesses, Silent Night set off on its kind of carbon reduction journey by looking at Scope 1 and Scope 2, which really is the energy you consume within your own business. So the fuel for your transport, the electricity that you buy, and maybe gas that you use to kind of heat the factory. And we did a really good job of reducing those and got really excited by it. And then we started working with a partner called Oakdean Hollins, who are a circular economy specialist. And they said, really, you should be looking at kind of a net zero target, and that includes Scope 3. And when we did that piece of work, we realised that over 90% of our emissions are actually in the value chain. So we were doing a great job in a small part of the emissions side, and we needed to look at it wider. So that's when we started engaging our value chain, upstream and downstream. And we were really chuffed that in August 2022, we actually got our science-based targets validated. And that's what we're working to. We've got a long-term target to hit net zero by 2040 and short-term targets for 2030.
The first step for a business to become more sustainable is to just measure their emissions. So to find areas of their business that have a carbon cost or a carbon emissions, and to start to measure those. And by doing that, they can start to see areas in which they have more impact, and then they can focus their efforts on trying to reduce those areas. There's normally some easy wins that you can do, just like switching off of lights and reducing the amount of time. Like if you're in bright daylight with the window open, you don't need the light on. And then from there, it's about sort of going through your processes and deciding which areas have greater impact and putting in place measures to try and reduce that. And you can see through your data that you're now measuring and capturing the impact that those are having and tweak them as you go. You don't have to do sustainability all at once. It's a little bit and often that works. So here at Boss Design, we are currently measuring and recording our emissions across scopes 1, 2 and 3 and reporting those with the Planet Mark platform. We will then analyse that data and identify our emission hotspots so that we can see areas where we are having a greater impact on the environment, and we set targets to reduce those down. So year on year, we try and reduce our emissions by, say, 5–10%, and we're hoping that, well, we believe that by doing it this way, we'll be able to make smaller but systematic changes, which will then lead into bigger changes, and over time, we'll aim to hit net zero carbon by 2040.
Our B Corp journey began about 18 months ago, and we were really keen because of the work we were doing to see how we would land with a B Corp certification. And in fact, I'd actually encourage anybody to look at the B Corp impact assessment. It's free to do. There's about 200 questions, and it really gives you a feel for how you are in the wider kind of sustainability, not just the E, but the S in ESG as well. I think that's where we're approaching it, and it's something that you can really get the whole workforce involved in because it is a social impact as much as anything. We felt that we needed a helping hand in this journey, so we partnered up with a company called Seismic. They've helped numerous, hundreds in fact, businesses go for B Corp certification, and in fact I think there's over 2,000 B Corp certified businesses in the UK now, and it's really growing.
Sustainability is increasingly at the core of the decision-making process within every department in the organisation, but I guess that starts to a certain extent within the design department. There's a huge amount of headspace, there's a huge amount of time and effort that's gone into the investigation of what we can do as a business to become more sustainable. And it's a very long list of things that we can do, it's a very long list of things that we are doing. But what we found is, above and beyond everything else, longevity is the thing that can make the biggest difference. And that's great because it dovetails nicely with our core values of high quality furniture, which lasts a long time. But of course, there's two types of longevity. There's the structural longevity. There's making things which are strong, are durable, are fit for purpose, and which you can live with for generations. But of course, then that means nothing without stylistic longevity. People have got to want to keep the furniture for a long time. They've got to want to live with it for a long time. So if you get people buying good quality products and then keeping it for a long time, then you're making a huge amount of headway down the sustainability agenda. Now, of course, the input to that at the front end is the quality of the materials, the sustainable quality of the materials that we put into that. And so there's a lot of work that we've been doing with regard to the traditional materials. These are things like plastics and steel and aluminium, in order to drive up the recycled content of that which goes into our furniture. But there's also an exciting kind of parallel development stream, if you like, which is looking at new and emerging and more sustainable materials which can potentially replace those more traditional materials as we move forward. Well, examples of things that we're looking at right now include alternatives for traditional plywood and MDF, some of which include, exciting things that are happening with tabletop manufacture, where you can take recycled plastic from yogurt pots and from refrigerators and other white goods out of kitchens, and you can press them under heat with no binders in to create tabletops. We're looking at alternatives for pressed plywood using things like recycled coffee grounds or recycled denim jeans. And these are things which are still in their infancy. They've not been scaled yet. So the commercial argument to sweep those across our range is yet to be fulfilled. But there's a lot of exciting things happening there. Also with regard to alternatives for traditional fabric materials or leathers and PVC, the vinyls which have often been popular through work cafe settings. There's some really interesting things coming through using, everything from orange peel to cactus, and it's going to be an exciting and quite textured future for us from a material perspective.
Durability is really key part of sustainability. We need to extend the life of the products we put out there as much as possible. That means we minimise the use of new raw materials. We also minimise the use of fuel to deliver those products, and likewise we reduce the collection costs post-consumer, and also the energy that's required to recycle those products. So extending the life of that product, helping consumers get the most out of that product, is absolutely fundamental to Silent Night's sustainability strategy.
The path to sustainable furniture and mattress manufacturing is not without challenges. From sourcing sustainable materials to balancing cost and quality, manufacturers face numerous hurdles.
The hurdles to sustainability are really focused at every stage of the manufacturing, designing and recycling process. So if we think about the very, very start of the process, we need to be thinking about designing products that are the lightest they can be, so that we can manage the amount and cost of materials in them, and also the cost of distributing them. We need the materials to be recyclable, so that later on in the product's life cycle, they can be effectively recycled. And we need to think constantly about performance and the science of that performance, to ensure that actually we're delivering on our principal need, which is to provide a really good night's sleep.
Challenges with making the business more sustainable evolve around sort of it's the granular detail that we really do need to get right. And in order to get that granular detail right, we need that third-party accreditation that verifies exactly what we're all about. And this is the tricky part of the situation at the moment. We measure, monitor everything that goes through the business, but we need that verification to ensure that we're doing it to a industry standard. And at the moment, there isn't that industry standard that everyone's on the same page with. So we're looking to organisations like Declare labels and other sort of verification labels and standards to really kind of create that benchmark for the organisation. But it's the understanding with our client base and internally of what those standards are and what they actually mean. These are typically arbitrary labels that people ask for and maybe don't have the right standards attached to them.
The main challenges that come with the business are obviously designing products that can be eco-friendly and sustainable, but also provide value to our customers and consumers. So bringing those two things together in what has recently been a quite volatile market for raw materials has been quite challenging for us.
So Silent Night have got 3 asks of the government. First one is in about implementing an extended producer responsibility scheme. We can't get to net zero without moving to a circular economy. And to get to a circular economy, we need an infrastructure in place that actually links everything from the value chain to the recyclers and back. That's absolutely fundamental. And EPR, the industry are up for it. We're up for a mandatory industry-led EPR scheme, and the National Bed Federation have actually got almost a package ready to go to share with government. So we want to get on with that one. The second thing is, to get to a circular economy, we need to think about the materials and the treatments we might use in those materials. And one of the big ones are the flame retardants. So we need to align our fire safety approach to being the same as that in Europe. So our testings and things, at the moment in the UK, we're standalone and we have the most stringent fire regulations in the world, which means we put more chemicals into our product than needs be. So the fire deaths in the UK have fallen at the same rate as the rest of Europe, in fact in the rest of the developed world. So we're not protecting anybody with them, we're actually probably holding ourselves back. We know we can make products that are safe from a fire point of view without these extra flame retardant chemicals. And when you put these chemicals in, you're actually inhibiting recycling. Because if you put flame retardants in foam, you can't actually then chemically recycle that foam, as they're doing in the rest of Europe. End of life. So that's really fundamental to us. And I suppose the third thing, which is also linked to that, is let's follow the Europe with their European Sustainable Products Regulation, which is kind of on the verge of becoming a reality. Let's look at that, adopt it in the UK, which will champion eco-design and also to push forward for digital product passports so that we can see down the value chain what materials are involved, so that recyclers have got a chance of doing something really great with that material at end of life.
I believe that the government should introduce incentives for businesses to become more sustainable. So perhaps a tax break on using low carbon materials, or for example HVO, which is hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is a drop-in replacement for diesel. That would be a fantastic shift if we could just, instead of binning off a car and buying an electric car, if you got a tax break on buying HVO fuel that you could just put into your old diesel car, not only does it cut the emissions by, off the top of my head, 90%, but you don't then need to scrap your old car. The car doesn't then get wasted. There is an excess waste there. It's a way of almost transitioning to a greener future by taking what you have right now and just supplying it with a greener fuel. And that gives you another 10 years of the car, and you use the car for what it's worth. You've already created the emissions by creating the car. Use the car to the end of its life before then upgrading to an electric car. And it also allows people that perhaps can't afford a Tesla, the 10 years gap now for electric cars to become cheaper and more commonplace, for them to be able to afford an electric car.
I see Silent Night developing in the coming years very much about utilising the research that we have, our on-site lab that's SATRA accredited, so it's an independent organisation that's kind of researching and testing all of our products. So the research and the testing that we have, bringing those things together, mean that we will continue to be at the forefront of the industry when it comes to innovation and sleep.
Boss Design will continue to evolve and develop within our core space. You know, we make beautiful pieces of upholstery for commercial spaces that improve the experience of people who occupy those spaces. That's what we're all about, really. So we will continue to evolve beautiful products that have a commercial and responsible aspect to them.
This remains an exciting time for the industry as new innovations and developments are consistently being developed, and the path to a cleaner, greener future has never looked brighter.